Apologies, folks, for that short intermission. Seems to be the technical issues not just affecting our lobby here tonight, but also the stream. But that should hopefully be everything all sorted and a nice, crisp and clear stream for you folks at home. While you were going, Shazoo Jax has retired from the session. P10 at the moment on the medium compound. That will be the best he has to offer this session. The world champion Jensen just jumping into the pits there. Anything we might have missed while we're re-going there, Storm, that's worth noting?
As I just about to say, Jake has gone into P2. FVR Bowling goes and sets a 13.7 on the soft compound tyre.
Really putting the gauntlet down for the rest of the drivers with that time. A second clear at the top. Just showing that these initial laps maybe being a little bit of bankers as Jakapoo follows suit with a 14.0 with Alpha Tauri, catching in on the Aston Martin, but not by enough. 2 and a bit tenths clear he is at the front at the moment. We're going to go on board with Smalley. He's currently coming through the middle sector, coming into the S. It's a very, very tight and technical part of the track here. Looking not to invalidate, but also looking to get his first lap time on the board. So hopefully, all being well, it will be a solid lap for the Alpine driver.
Yeah, as he comes through the second DRS into the stadium section, a very notorious part of the Mexico track, the home of where we see a lot of the Sergio Perez fans. He's got a little bit of traffic in front of him as he takes a lot of the track curb there, as he's going to come around the final curb, and he is now going to set his time, and it will be into P5 with a 14.8 on the soft compound tyre.
Very respectable time there from Smalley, of course. Not had maybe the best of season so far, but he's definitely got potential here. Currently finds himself in P13 in the Drivers' Championship. Rudy slotting in with a 14.9 into P6, and the time's really starting to grip up there in the low, or the high 14s, I should say, but nobody else able to break in with Bolin into the 13s. On board with Jabraka, he has done 3 laps on those softs and again has invalidated, really struggling with the track limits. I'm expecting though, once he gets a lap time in it, it's going to be an absolute flyer, because he must be pushing that car to its limits and just over them. Elsewhere, I must apologise as well, folks. I'm not the best at short quali. It's I find it a struggle at times to focus in on the action, but we have found Daniel. He's coming through the infamous stadium section, of course. It used to be a baseball field in years gone past. Now one of the most famous grandstands in the world of F1. Rounding that final corner and crosses a line for a 14.8, sees him go a very respectable P5.
Yeah, fantastic for the Haas driver. Maybe he's finding his inner Kevin Magnussen as he is in the Haas tonight. Just probably a question to yourself and the chat as well. Maybe looking at the grid and everything, would it be worth starting outside the top 10 because you have that kind of flexibility of the free tyre choice? Because if you're inside the top 10, you are kind of stuck with a soft. And if there's an early safety car, you're kind of not just losing positions, but, you're going to have to make that early pit stop to, kind of save time.
Yeah, we do call P11, I suppose, the poor man's pole position for a reason. It can be a very strong position given that as well. You've not only got a free choice of the tyres, you've also got a brand new set of tyres. So for some people, it definitely is an advantageous position. Personally, for me, I'm always a fan of track position. I feel it's worth being in that top 10. Of course, 8th to 10th, maybe not worth it so much, but we all know how much, especially through the first few laps, getting that track position, getting yourself into order on the grid can really affect the latter stages of your race. It develops who you're going to be battling with over the course of the race, who you're going to have to overtake, and how much of a challenge you're going to need to get to those higher positions.
Yeah, just looking at Jabraka, 5 laps on the soft. Is he invalidating every single lap? Because I know going through the S's, you can invalidate quite a lot. He's not invalidated at the moment as he comes through the double left-hander. He's now going to come through the S section now. No, he is slowing down for an Alpine, which I'm guessing is, that's Marlon. Now, I know Marlon quite well. He's a Dutch driver, and he has got some incredible pace. He's currently in P16 with a 16.5 but I think that's not the show of his true pace, as the game is telling us he has purple sectors, but we'll wait to see when he crosses the line. As he comes through the stadium section, as he uses all the track he can possibly, and he is literally taking the Alpine to the limit. And where's he going to go? He is going to go up into P4, and I knew he had the pace, and he's shown it this evening, and that is Marlon up to P4.
14.555, very respectful. Drops down though to P5 as Jensen, last week's pole setter, comes in with a 14.125, showing he still has the pace around here at Mexico, but nobody yet to match the pace of his teammate in the Aston Martin. Of course, Bolin still 3 tenths effectively clear at the top. A few cars yet to set their first initial time, of course. Jabraka being one of them, 6 laps in the softs. That is really pushing it for tyre wear, maybe just gripping into the circuit, getting a little bit of feel for how it's going to be, and then he'll put in a solid lap on a fresh set of soft, perhaps. Of course, Dan, the man we're looking at the moment, he's in his out lap, and as well as Line Violet. Not many drivers actually on a flying lap at the moment. I can't pronounce this name very well. This is going to be an absolute shambles, but it is Betuxi. I think that Betuxia.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. We'll go with Bet. Bet in the Mercedes. He is starting a lap time, and elsewhere, Robin West. He's currently coming through the sector on his flying lap. Marlon, of course, staying on the flying lap. I suspect he might be coming into the pits after putting that car on P5. But Robin West coming through the S sections. That final DRS straight approaching the third sector. I think he is actually on a slow lap looking at that split time. 1.6 of his best time. So getting to that stage of qualifying where we're starting to quiet down a little bit. The drivers just prepping for their final few lap times.
Yeah, and this is actually probably a good question and a good debate to have. Jensen and Bolin are literally in the front 2 rows of the grid. What happens when they go down into turn 1? Are we going to see where the incident between, I think it was Bottas and Ricardo, are we going to have an incident like that? It's very possible. So they're going to have to really be on their kind of wits about them to make sure that, you know, Jake doesn't cause any threat to them, or Jacopo doesn't either. So yeah, that front 3 could be very crucial on the race start, as Jake crosses the line, still stays P4. And I just wonder, Jabraka's on 7 laps softs. Is that an indication that there's rain coming? Because even though these drivers are setting fantastic laps on the softs, are they just trying to use the tyres as much as possible because they know that they may not need them in the race because there is rain coming?
Could be a very, very good point there. Of course, if it is a wet start, this whole shenanigan of the top 10 starting on their fastest lap time goes completely out the window, and it will be a free choice. Interesting to wait and see. Of course, we don't know that until it is lights out and away we go for the formation lap in a sense. What you're saying there about the rundown to turn 1, I always find Mexico, it's one of those tricks. Pole position isn't necessarily pole position. You've got such a rundown to turn 1 that of course, no DRS on the initial lap, but the slipstream itself can be very, very powerful and can allow the likes of Jensen, Jacopo, and even Jake Marsh GP in P2 to 4 to really, if they can get a good launch off the grid, position their car right and get that slipstream down to turn 1, they can really cut some time on the leaders and in fact go for a move from maybe P3, P4 all the way into P1. We've seen that sort of thing before. We've seen it when it goes right, but we've also seen it goes wrong. Hopefully for the drivers tonight, it will go all right. Nobody aims for a race to go wrong, especially on lap 1 as Daniel crosses the line for a 1:14.3, sees the Haas jump back up to P5, very Magnussen-esque, like you said earlier on. But yeah, restart very crucial, and it'll be very interesting as always around here at Mexico.
I think you're going to be honoured with this comment. Apparently, someone's asking, is because you're Scottish and everything, is Lewis Blakely, the esports driver, commentating. So take that as an honourable mention. Of course, if I've got Lewis Blakely in the party, then you know I want to know how much he's being paid. No, of course not. As I ride on board with the most difficult name on the grid, which is Savagetsky. I believe that's how you pronounce it. He is a Ukrainian driver, as Rudy has retired. Rudy, I know, is a top driver. He is got pace, but he is currently going to be starting at the moment in P12. As qualifying, I think, has come to a closure, as that timer has come down to the 000. As I ride on board with the other McLaren, as Vengeance is in the pits. And where is he going to set? And he puts himself up to P13, just in front of WOR Surface in with a 15.2, and that is his qualifying over.
Very solid time, of course. 13th will be the best, but given that free choice of tyre, if it's dry, Jensen crosses the line, can promote up to a temporary Alfa Romeo 1-2. Bolin isn't on a lap, he can't improve. Jacopo cannot improve. Jake Marshall has to settle for P4, as Daniel in the pit for P5. Chicken is not on a flying lap. Marlin has invalidated, so he won't improve. What about Panis Kara? He can't improve. Looking at that time, he's already in the 120s. Meaning our top 10, and in fact our whole grid is set in stone. It will be an Aston Martin 1-2. Bolin taking the lead over his teammate and championship leader Jensen. Jacopo, Jake Marshall and Daniel not too far behind though, looking to pounce on the move down to turn 1. But the Aston Martins, a 10th clear of his teammate, and then another 2 and a bit tenths clear to the next nearest rival from those two. Aston Martin looking very strong, of course, leading the Constructors' Championship at the moment, leading the Drivers' Championship at the moment. This will not be a good sight for anybody else other than those two tonight.
Yeah, wow, what an incredible qualifying session for the two Aston Martins. But we can't leave out the AlphaTauri driver of SXT, Jacopo, as well. And Jake, they can easily be ending up in P1 at the end of turn 1, as yeah, it's all to play for as we get ready for 36 laps here of the Mexico Grand Prix for WOR T1 on the PlayStation platform for round number 9 in Mexico for season 12. And I tell you what, we are going to be in for an absolute banger of a race, and I suspect we are going to be seeing some maybe party time, but maybe some disappointment and tears may happen along the way. But we'll be here taking you through the action through the whole 36 laps as we get ready for what will be the Mexico Grand Prix.
Absolutely. Cannot wait to see what the next 36 and approximately 45 minutes have in store for us here at the Autodromas Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. He'll hold 21st races in the real F1 calendar. Your most successful driver, of course, being Max Verstappen. But a chance for another new driver to maybe make the leap onto the winner's belt of Mexico. Of course, most constructors win. Aston Martin aren't up there within the record. There's 5 teams joint on 3 wins, those being Lotus, McLaren, Williams, Mercedes and Red Bull. We have 4 of those 5 teams here tonight. Maybe they can make the step to win another race here, but it is firmly in the boys in green as they line up 1, 2, just under a tenth separating them, and then 3 tenths separating the next nearest car. I'm pumped for this race. It's been a long time coming with the little glitches we've had here, Storm, but it's definitely shaping up to be an absolute cracker, I would say.
Yeah, and that's all we hope for on a Friday night. So grab your popcorn, grab your drinks, because you're going to be in for an absolute banger of 36 laps. It's going to be FVR Bolin who takes the pole position, but can he last 36 laps on that P1? Will it be his teammate Shazoo Jensen? We're going to find out as we will be going to lights out in a few short moments, and it will be an absolute bang of a race. I can guarantee you that. So get ready for what will be the WOR round number 9 Mexico Grand Prix.
Couldn't have said it any better myself, my friend. Interesting things to look out here on the formation lap. First thing, the weather. We did mention there earlier on. Is there rain on the way? Well, this will give us our first indication in a few short moments. After that, tyres. Of course, the top 10 sticking to their qualifying tyres, and that is the case because it is blue skies here in Mexico. All of the drivers from P1 to P10 having to qualify on whatever compound they set their fastest lap time on, and by the looks of things, that's completely softs. Will the P11 to P20 guys go for the alternate strategy? Will they stick with the softs as the starting tyre? Maybe sort of guessing for an early safety car. Of course, strategy round here, it can be a 2-stop, it can be a 1-stop. It's all down to personal driver choice, race circumstances, and who feels lucky going for what option.
Yeah, of course. And obviously, we know the top three will be looking to take that race win. But let's look maybe outside of the top three. Let's go a bit further down the grid. We have SXT Daniel up there. He can maybe take a race win. He may be the dark horse. We've obviously got WOR Surface up there in P6. We've also got Jake can maybe take a race win. So we can't just count out everybody, because everybody can maybe take a race win, as they all will be now on their formation lap, and we will be getting ready very shortly. So everyone in the top 10 will be on the soft compound tyre. Then we've got Smalley, Savetsky, Jax, and Jabraka, Line Violet, and SXT TH Hyper, all on the medium compound tyre. So they're going maybe not for drag position, but they are going maybe if in case there is a safety car early on in the race. And then you've got TTG Bet on soft, with Dan, who's not in the lobby, on softs, and Rudy also on the softs outside the top 10. But yeah, it's quite interesting, the top 10. I think anybody can win it. It's an open, well, I wouldn't say it's an open lobby, but it is an open race. It's not necessarily a straightforward win for maybe one of the Aston Martins. As I said, Daniel or Surface or even Jake can win it, but who knows, as the drivers are now coming through what will be the the same section, and we'll be getting underway very shortly. So I'll hand you over to my commentator colleague for this evening, which is CRL Free Fall, should I say, and he'll be giving you the lights out and that rundown into turn 1 as we get ready for Mexico.
Thank you very much, Storm. It's sure to be an interesting race. 36 laps are ahead of us here as the cars line up into their relevant grid boxes. Who can take the crown here in Mexico? We will have to wait and see. Of course, any one of these 20 drivers have the potential, have the speed. It is such a closely knit grid, and it will come down to the smallest of margins to who takes this top step on that podium. But with the final cars lining up in the grid, keep an eye for those 5 red lights lighting up under the start-finish banner just at the top of your screen there. We're getting ready now. The final cars in their position. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And lights out, and away we go for round 9 of WOR Season 12 here on the PlayStation platform. Jacopu getting an alright start behind the 2 Aston Martins, forming a little bit of a defensive wall here. They're almost, by the looks of things, going 5 wide down into turn 1. Just a little bit staggered, and there is a spin already. It's Jake Marshall getting tagged on the inside by, I'm not quite sure who that was. It might have been SXT Daniel in the Haas, but apart from that, the rest of the cars looking to get through pretty clean. But there is a spin at the back there by the looks of things. The leaders now swapping positions. Jensen now up into turn 1, going side by side with his teammate Bolin through the not the stadium section, sector 2. Jacopu, hungry in the background though, looking to pounce. He's right tight, a little bit of wheel banging there, and is in fact going to get ahead of Bolin. Bolin having a horrendous start down from P1 to P3 already.
Yeah, crazy start here, as it looks like Bolin is already going to drop another position, as Marlon is having a look. The Alpine driver is absolutely on the back already of the Aston Martin, and look at the 2 Hasses. They are also on the back of this train as well. So it's all the fight here for the final podium place. Bolin may be in trouble here on lap 1.
Yeah, a little bit of a squabble with his teammate there on Jacopu, the opportunistic in the AlphaTauri, taking advantage to seize that P2. But the 2 Hasses, a strong position 5 and 6. Will we see them work together here to try and close up and overtake on this front pack? Will we see them battling? Well, they are going side by side here on the run down to turn 1. Surface is going to get ahead of his teammate Daniel. Looks like he's taking the inside line into turn 1. Nice and easy, doesn't fight it too hard. Further back, Dan getting the move on Line Violet for P15 further down the grid. And here comes the Ferrari on of Robin West. Looking at those 2 Haas squabbling, not really able to take advantage of it too much. Doing very well not to hold them up. But Line Violet and Dan actually having a tremendous little battle for P13. I think that's actually the AI of Dan, so proving that maybe Codemasters can get something right in the game, because the AI able to keep up with this level of driver is actually quite impressive to me.
Yeah, of course. As we stick on board with Marlon, he's got no DRS at the moment, as it has to be after 2 laps. But he is right still on the back of Bolin as Smalley gets the first penalty of the race, and that is a 3-second time penalty for multiple corner cutting. And we will be getting to the point where DRS will be enabled as the drivers are coming through the stadium section now. And it's going to get very tasty here, ladies and gentlemen, as Marlon is right on the back of that Aston Martin. He can sit in his sights as the fastest lap times are coming in, as Jacopo sets the fastest lap with an 18.2, as Jax goes and even beats it with an 18.1. Wow, wow, wow. As Panos picks up a 3-second time penalty as they come down into turn 1. Is Marlon going to have a look? He's not, but he's going to get DRS now. This is going to be very crucial for Marlon. He has an opportunity here to take a podium place, and he is going to be right on there as he hasn't got DRS. So it hasn't been enabled for him at the moment. It must be that he may have not been on the detection zone under 1 second, but he is still on the back. And what a race so far for the two Hasses.
Definitely won't have got DRS there, of course, the detection zone in the final sector, so wouldn't actually be active until the end of this lap. Maybe being a bit fortunate for the two in front of him. Further back, Rudy and Robin West. What a battle they were having on the rundown. To believe it is turn 4 after what is effectively the second straight. Rudy having a little move in him, but Robin defending very, very well and very, very clean from these two drivers here. This will be, of course, the first proper DRS zone. We'll jump on back with, I suppose, maybe Jacopo. He'll be the first to have the proper DRS here into turn 1 as the fastest lap times tumble back in again. That rear wing of the AlphaTauri opening wide as you like, and here he goes, the move on Jensen for the provisional race lead at the moment. Turn 1, DRS, ERS, easy as you like, of course. It is a double DRS detection here, so he's going to get that rear wing wide open again on the rundown to turn 4, and that'll let him stretch that lead from Jensen, where Bolin looked to have a little manoeuvre on his teammate, not quite close enough yet. Of course, very strong, that double detection zone, so watch out for plenty of overtakes along that section as this race goes on. Robin West battling out with Rudy and Daniel further back. A lot going on in this Grand Prix. Very chaotic, but chaotic in the good sense that there's plenty of overtakes, plenty of action, and plenty to keep us busy.
Yeah, as what a move there by Rudy. He gets past the Ferrari car, and he is now up to P7, and that is him gonna now chase on to Daniel, and he's already on the back. Look how close he is. They are literally being pushed. Daniel, oh, massive understeer from the Red Bull, but he keeps the position. But Robin is going to have a look, maybe going down into turn 1. It's an absolute fantastic battle here for what will be P6, 7, and 8, as Jacopo sets the fastest up with a 17.5.
Fastest lap times really starting to tumble in. The DRS assisting with that, but not only the fastest lap times, it's assisting with the overtakes. Here comes Chicken getting in the DRS and the slipstream of Robin. Daniel not having the DRS, he is really wide and open. Robin going for a lovely move down the inside, making it stick on Daniel, and of course Daniel going to be very, very vulnerable here without the DRS for a second time. Chicken and Robin looking to pull out and attack retrospectively. Here comes Chicken down the inside, thinks better of it and has to settle back in. Some lovely, lovely battles going on here at the early stage. Further back, Beta Axie, I can't say this name, I apologise folks. He is right on the back of Jax, who is right on the rear of Smalley. Battles all over the shop here, lovely thing to see, but the top 5 sort of checking out now already. 2 seconds a gap from Surface to Rudy in P5 to P6. I wonder if Rudy's going to have any say in cutting that gap down, or whether we're looking at a top 5 shootout as things stand.
Yeah, it is now going to be kind of what can Rudy do, as he is going to be trying to push the car a little bit more, but he's got to be careful because Robin is not out of DRS at the moment. He is still in DRS range, as Robin is now going to get DRS. The Dutch driver, he is now going to get it as, oh, there's a battle for the front of the lead, as Jacopo, I think, had a little bit at Jensen, and that is Robin retaking P6 from Rudy. Rudy will get DRS, I believe, on the second DRS. We will just run, no, he doesn't get it because he was in front of Robin. So that is Robin. As I go back to P2 and P3, and Jakapu nearly lost the position to Bolin, and Bolin went for a move that unfortunately wasn't able to be capitalized on. And I think Marlon might just be licking his lips here and maybe looking at a podium or even a P2.
Absolutely, Jensen making use of that DRS into turn 1, getting past Jakapu and his teammate, jumping on board for that for the run down to turn 4. Unfortunately, not able to make the move, done a little bit of contact between the two drivers, but no long-term standards damage.
Oh, I have to interrupt you there. I have to interrupt you there. SXT Daniel is out of the race, and that is a safety car. Sorry for the interruption there.
No, quite right at all. I was just about to jump onto it, but you beat me to it very well indeed. First safety car and retirement of the night here on lap 6. The leaders then jumping into the pits for a switch up from those red stripe softs. Jensen opting for the yellow stripe mediums, and I expect to see a lot of the drivers behind following suit. This will be a big advantage for these soft runners. They're not having to run their tyres to the end, but also in a way an advantage for the medium runners going a bit along. Likes of Jax and Smalley, they're able to take the track position now. Of course, P1, we've seen it already be a very vulnerable position due to that double DRS zone, so maybe something to look out for, some moves, especially with the mix of tyre compounds. But an interesting one, TTG Betuxia, that's the pronunciation I'm going to go with from now on. He is sticking out on the soft, 6 lap old, and as well, Line Violet opting for the hards. Can he take them to the end? I reckon so. It's just a matter of will they have the pace.
Yeah, as we were talking just before the stream was starting, the softs can go maybe a little bit more than the average 10 laps that we see on most tracks. The same amount of laps here in Mexico is also the same amount of laps in the Austrian Grand Prix as well, for a 50% race of 36 laps, and they go a little bit on the distance as well. So maybe he is going for the alternative strategy. He is going for a bold strategy here, but it could lead him to a very nice race finish at the end.
What's the age-old saying? Fortune favours the brave, and he has been very brave compared to his competitors here tonight. Could be a nice little twist in this Grand Prix. The first safety car here. Grid, of course, allows everybody, those of likes of Panos Kara, of Savitsky, to reform at the back of the pack and have an effective restart to the race, neutralising everything. It is a bad sign if you have, of course, got a penalty. 3-second penalties will really affect these drivers if there is to be a safety car at the end of the race, but on lap 8 they won't be worrying too much about that. Expect us to maybe get re-racing about lap 9 or lap 10. Looking at the grid though, it's been a bit of the usual battle, what we sort of expected. The two Aston Martins battling out with Jakapu. I've just noticed Boland's lost out to Marlin under the pit stop. Of course, he was having the double start behind Jensen, so he's lost out another position. Surface and Robin West. This is great for the likes of Robin West and Rudy, able to close that gap on that first pack and really make some maybe moves into a podium challenge, because like we said earlier on, every one of these drivers has potential to win this race tonight.
Yeah, of course it is. It is that type of race. Anyone can really. You've just got to get the perfect strategy, and everybody has made a pit stop except from the top 3, as you mentioned before. Smalley hasn't made one, Jax hasn't made one, and neither has the TTT driver, which is obviously in the other Mercedes. Everyone else has made a pit stop. Everyone is on the mediums except from Gibraka Hyper, who I don't think is in the lobby, and obviously Line Violet, who has opted for the hards. They will now go to the end of the race, so maybe that is a bold strategy, and maybe if there is another safety car, at least he'll have the mediums and the softs to his advantage if there is a safety car later on in the race. But we are still here under safety car on lap number 8.
Absolutely, another safety car, another pit stop later on. He will have the free choice, whatever the situation, to go for whatever he fancies. If it's in medium range, he can go for the mediums and not have to worry about making the two compound pit stop, because he's already served one with his starting and one with the hards. Alternatively, if there's no safety car until late in the race, put on a fresh set of softs and he'll be very racy towards the end. And of course, the option, which in a way we all hope for, no safety cars, no more retirements. He can take those tyres to the end. A net gain, of course, won't lose any time on the pit stops. It's all about how fast can he push those hard tyres. As the race goes on, you expect his pace in comparison, of course, with the age of the tyres to increase, but the others making the pit stops, fresher tyres, yes, they're going to lose 20 to 30 seconds, but of course, fresh softs against old hards, it's no question. We don't need to explain that one to you, just how much an advantage that can be. Lap 9 here, under safety car conditions, we're almost very, very shy about to hit 1/3 race distance. Expect the safety car to hopefully peel in this lap. Bert Maylander's done his job. The debris from Daniel's crash at the end of Sector 2 is lovely, been cleared by our amazing marshals, and it should be time to get back under racing very, very shortly.
Yeah, and it'll be very interesting how to see Smalley does the safety car restart. Does he bolt out the final corner, or does he just play them little mind games and just wait until he gets really close to that finish line and out of the corner? As I think we'll get an indication from the safety car when that is going to come in, as that safety car is going to come in on lap number 9, as we will get ready for 26 laps here in Mexico. Who's going to win? We don't know. We'll let the drivers decide it out here in Mexico, as we're going to get back under racing. I'll hand you over to my co-commentator this evening, which is Freefall, and he will take the safety car restart.
Thank you very much, Storm. Smalley, like you're saying, a big choice here. How does he handle this restart? We said at the restart, that slipstream down to turn 1 can be very, very powerful. That's going to be exacerbated by that run they would get out of turn number 17, the final turn here. He has went on the exit of turn 17 and in fact got a very good launch. The number 2 car of Shazoo Jax has been caught sleeping a little bit, and now he finds himself under threat from Beto Uxie in the Mercedes behind him. Further back, they're almost 3 wide as cars jostling for position using that slipstream and that ERS, but Jax holding P2. Bolin making a move past Jacopo. They're battling for what is essentially provisional P2 at the moment. Jacopo holding the line. Jensen, in fact, I'm not sure what quite happened to him. He's lost out quite a few positions, losing out to his teammate and Jacopo's. Marlin goes for a move on the Mercedes of Beto Uxie for what is essentially the race lead. Well, Marlin essentially in the race lead, and there is contact, and that is the spin for Marlin. Doing very well to keep it out of the wall there, but losing a lot of time and a lot of positions.
Yeah, I saw that. So unlucky for Marlin. He was battling in that kind of battle between P4 and to P6, as there is a few more drivers with penalties coming up. As, yeah, Bolin and Jensen, for the first time in this race, they are having to get past drivers, and they're not finding it easy, as Bolin is trying to get past Jacopo, and that is becoming a little bit of an issue, as he can't get past him on the straights, as they will now be coming, as I think Bolin is going to make the move, and he is getting closer. He may not have the straight line speed in that Aston Martin, and it doesn't look like he has, but his teammate is looking maybe for an overtake, and there could be a SWAT cars here for the Aston Martin.
Definitely, of course, with that safety car restart, DRS has been neutralised for the next few laps, so straight line speed for those trailing behind is a little bit down. Bolin getting very close to the back of Jacopo, but not quite close enough. Further back, a lot of swapping positions there. The Aston Martin, the AlphaTauri, sorry, of Jabraka going round the outside of Robin West, and Hyper and Chicken.
Hello.
Have you got me, Storm? I think I'm definitely here. It might be a little connection issue on one of our ends. Hopefully the stream can still hear us. I don't know if you can hear me, Storm.
Now it's lost. Hold on.
Just a little check there. I am all good on the comms front coming through to the stream, so I think it's a little internet connection with Storm. In the meantime, I will carry on best I can on my own. Might be a little bit of dead air because I am going to have to take big gulps of breath to try and keep you entertained. But DRS now re-enabled. Of course, they won't have that DRS on the run down to turn 1, that DRS detection zone being on the exit of the stadium section in Sector 3. But Bolin getting very close once again to Jacopo, but not quite close enough, of course. DRS not going to be a factor until the tail end of this Grand Prix. Further back, Jake Marsh making a move on Chicken for P11. Panos and Savitsky, let's get on board with that battle. They are going side by side through the first complex of corners, and it is going to be the Red Bull of Panos running a little wide there on the exit of turn 3, but does get the move done for what's essentially P14. Jump back up to the front though. such close times between all cars from P1 all the way down to P10. All the points paying positions here are really tight. Rudy right on the gearbox off surface in that Haas in front of him. Plenty of action going on the circuit here. I'm going to have a little call up for Storm, see if he is back in the call with us and ready for some commentary.
I am, yeah, I'm definitely back. Don't worry.
I was getting a little bit out of breath there, mate.
Yeah, no, I do apologise. I had a few technical issues there. Yeah, no, I am back. Yeah, we had a little bump in the road, they might say. And yeah, as we are now on lap 13 of 36, and I think Rudy is going to have to defend a little bit as Jabraki is going to go for the move. It's going to be Red Bull versus AlphaTauri, the two Red Bull manufactured cars, which is the Red Bull main team, and the AlphaTauri is the junior team. And also Hyper is, and that's a spin for Rudy. I don't think he was anticipating Hyper to go for a move there. And that is Rudy down now just in front of his teammate in P13.
Yeah, a little unfortunate bit of contact there. I was sort of looking at the Williams. He was approaching with a lot of speed, getting a good run down to turn one, and unfortunately not the room there at the moment. The two teammates in the Aston Martins there, Jensen trying to get past Bolin and making a little bit of wheel-on-wheel contact. A half spin for Jensen sees him lose a little bit of time, but not too much. This front pack holding together really well. I'm quite surprised the front three runners, despite being on those older tyres, really holding up the P4 downwards very well, especially P3 TTG Betiuxi. He is on 12 lap old softs, keeping the freshish 5 lap, of course, most of them done under safety car. Jacopo behind him, of course. Jacopo will have DRS on the car in front of him, but as well Betiuxi, he has got DRS from Jax and Smalley in front. And in fact, the move looks to be Jax on Smalley for what is essentially the race lead at the moment, getting the move done on the outside on the run to turn one. Further back surface, getting a move done on Hyper. The rest of the grid having to settle into the position through turn one, but they will round through that complex as we do have yellow flags indeed. And it seems to be a spin for Hyper, causing those few moves looked at into turn four, but none coming to fruition as the cars line back up, and it's going to be that technical sector 2 through the S's. Not much in the way of overtaking here unless there's a big mistake from one of these drivers.
Yeah, as the two Ferraris are battling, I think, as Jacopo gets a 3-second time lead. That is very crucial if he wants a podium out of this. And look at the train behind Jacopo. He is literally, as I think somebody is going to go for a move. That's a spin. That's Jabraka. He went for an ambitious move there, and it didn't pay off. And that is him going to be dropping down as, yeah. It's quite interesting to see that TTG is still out on 14 laps. And he is now, I believe, going to lose a position as Jacopo is going to go for the move as Jake Marsh gets a 3-second time penalty. And that is going to be a position for Jacopo. Is it? Yep, he's going to get the move. But, what just happened there? As the car, I think, jumped over the other car. As, what's happened to Bolin? Bolin has spun around and Bolin has left the session. Are we back?
Oh, apologies. I clicked the wrong setting on my mic there. Beginner's luck. Jensen and Jacopo and Bolin. It was Jacopo going defending a move from Bolin on my screen. The two cars coming together with a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, and exactly like you said, the two cars jumping over each other, almost phasing together. So maybe we're seeing a little bit the desync issues that's been reported on the Xbox and the PC outputs coming onto the PS platform. A little bit strange there from the two. TTG though going for the move on Smalley for P2. Amazing the pace he's still got on those 15 lap old softs. Definitely committing to the one stop here, of course. Mexico a toss-up between a 1-stop and a 2-stop, depending on how you're feeling. What's happened to Jensen? He is down to P12 at the moment, having a little spin through the first corner section. I'm not quite sure what happened there. Didn't quite pick up on it. Smalley's lost out of position to Jacobu. I don't know if you caught that, Storm.
Yeah, I think he... oh, Marlon's out. Marlon is out, and that may cause a safety car as Jensen gets a spin again. And yeah, it is not going also well for Aston Martin. As I can confirm from Bolin himself, it was a decent issue, and it is so unlucky for him. Hopefully he can get back into the lobby. And yeah, that is so unfortunate that that glitch has happened, as Jensen is now all the way in P14. Luckily, no safety car or no VSC at the moment.
It is, I think, I speak on behalf of the whole F1 community when I say it's horrible that we have these bugs and these issues that really sort of put the brakes on the sort of show we've had tonight. There's some amazing leagues and amazing drivers out there, and to be affected by something that is completely outside of your own hands, there's nothing worse as a racer. So Bolin, hopefully he can get back in the lobby, and really my heart does bleed out for you because there's nothing worse from that. Getting back to the race though, TTG has pit from those softs onto a fresh set of mediums. 20 laps to go. Definitely potential to stretch them to the end. We see Jax and Smalley, of course, 16 laps in the mediums, and they're still looking pretty competitive with their times at the moment. Jacobu, though, on a charge at the moment, currently in P2, effectively net P1, but of course has that 3-second time penalty in the back of his mind. How do you feel, Storms, when you're racing? Of course, me and yourself, we both do a little bit of racing in ourselves. Maybe, like you said earlier on, not quite at this level, but once you get that first warning, it can be a little bit of a mind game on you, of course, in the back of your mind, thinking, right, I don't want to get any more warnings, and you maybe don't push quite as hard. Do you think that'll be a case for maybe Jacobu, Smalley, Jax that are in these higher up positions, Jabraka as well? Or do you think they'll just be concentrating and putting in the best laps they can, and what it'll be?
I think in this situation they're going to have to, as I have to interrupt there, as Jacobu is going to go for the race lead as he gets past Jax, and that is Jacobu up to P1, and he used the DRS as well. But yeah, going back to your question, as we ride on board with Jax, can he make the move? No, he can't at the moment. Yeah, but no, back to your question. I think the drivers will be having one eye on the penalties and one eye on the racing, as at the moment, WOR Surface is up to P3 on 10-lap mediums. He could be potentially a dark horse this race, something we probably didn't mention, and he could be on for not just a podium, but a race here.
Absolutely, like you say, a dark horse, a Haas on the charge at the moment. No penalties to his name. Not quite sure on the way of warnings, but I'm sure we'll get an update of that if he gets too many. P3 at the moment, net P2 if you count Jax having to pit. And of course he has that fresh, clean penalty sheet advantage over Jacobu. And indeed over Jabraka behind him. Chicken as well, and Rudy still on for a good result here. A little gap from Chicken to Jabraka. But of course that clean slate on the penalties can make a big difference. Just looking there from our comments, Marlon having some rear wing damage, getting caught up in an incident, unable to really control the car, not having much to expect from the rest of the race, forcing a retirement in the pits. So he is out of this race. That's what that DNF was a few laps ago. But the car's settling back in. No overtakes in the front pack down into turn 1. Further back through the mid pack, nothing at all. All eyes on this front three as Jax gets a run down in Jacobu into turn 4, but not quite close enough to make the move, and he will have to settle in through this S section. 18 laps done here at the Mexican Grand Prix. We are on lap 19, officially at the halfway mark. Jacobu leading Jax for the race victory at the moment, but of course Jax having to make that pit stop, so effectively it is WOR Surface as Jensen further down the grid makes a move on line violet, and Bolin battling out with Jake Marshall at the moment for P15. A real fall from grace for those two. Of course, Bolin actually AI, so not really too relevant. Forgetting about that, I do apologise. We'll jump back up to the front runners.
Yeah, just taking this into context, Jax and Smalley haven't pitted, if I'm correct. So if Rudy can really get past Check-in or Chicken, then he may just find himself on a podium, as Jabraka is going to get past Smalley for P4. Both have penalties, so this is really now a game on for Rudy. He can maybe get a podium out of this.
Absolutely, all eyes on Rudy. Can he get past Chicken and start the chase down those leaders? The gap from Chicken to Smalley, 3.9 seconds. Of course, the penalties in 3-second increments. So effectively, the gap to himself to a podium, just around about 1.8 seconds, maybe, when we consider in the gaps to the other cars and the time to overtake. So definitely a challenge on for him, but a title on for him as well in the form of a WR Tier 1 podium. He's got 17 laps if you include this to do it, so plenty of time for him. Surface closing in the back of Jax, but again not able to make the move. 12 lap old mediums versus 19 lap old mediums. You would have to say advantage Surface, but not quite able to make it done. Of course, he will have DRS down into turn 1. Jaxo having that DRS of Jacobu evening the playing field. Will we see a move from Jackson Jacobu? He is just outside the DRS zone, but of course that was on the start-finish straight, so Jacobu starting to stretch that lead at the front, and Surface getting a very good run down into turn 1, getting the move nice and early. Now he can start chasing down Jacobu for the race lead. Of course, he will have DRS again. Jacobu will not. So this could be a chance to really close that gap down before the middle sector. Rudy getting the move done on MX Chicken for P6. This is his chance now. Just chase down Smalley, chase down Jabraka, but before he can do that, he's going to have to pull out a gap to Chicken and break that DRS, or else he'll have to be looking in his rear view mirror and worrying about that Mercedes for the next 16 laps.
Yeah, it is kind of crunch time for Rudy, as Savetsky gets a 3-second time penalty, so I believe... Oh, Robin also gets one. Let's just take a look at the penalties. So Jacobu gets 3 seconds. Jax has got 3. Jabraka has 3. Smalley has 3. Vengeance has 3. Panos has 11 seconds. Savetsky has 9. Hyper has 6. Jensen has 3. TTG Bet has 6. Jake has 6. Bolin has 3. And Robin has 3 as well. So that is your penalties at the moment, lap 22. Around about 14 laps to go here in Mexico.
Penalties could be key in this Grand Prix, key in any Grand Prix, and of course Mexico, a very, like we discussed in qualifying, a very tricky track with the penalty. Surface not able to make the move on Jacobu for the race lead. Down into turn 1, Savetsky from P14, 2-lap old mediums, forced to make a pit stop. I'm assuming there must be some sort of damage here, but back to the front of the grid. Surface using that DRS to his advantage and really closing up the gap to Jacobu. Jaxo doing a tremendous job on those 21-lap old mediums. He is really holding on to those leaders, and all it would take is a late safety car any time in the next few laps, and advantage could be Jax for a potential podium here. But in the meantime, all eyes on this battle for Jacobu and Surface. Surface, of course, official net lead at the moment due to penalties, but we still, like you said, had 14-ish laps to go. Anything can happen. All is to play for here, and plenty of battles going on across the field. That early safety car sort of mixing up a few strategies here and there, mixing up track position a little bit. Of course, we've seen the double stack of the Aston Martins. They had the little downfall, a few incidents here and there, making their way back up through the field. So a really topsy-turvy Mexican Grand Prix here, and I'm sure in the next 13 laps or so, there may be another twist or turn in this tale as Surface makes the move on Jacobu, sorry, down into turn 1, around the outside, nice and early, and he will have DRS, as Jacobu will not on the run down to turn 4, so should extend this lead. Will that leave Jacobu open to a manoeuvre from Jax? No, it will not, but Jax in the Williams closing up very nicely behind. This battle for P3 to P1 really hotting up at the moment.
Yeah, as Rudy is still trying to hunt down Jabraka. That's around about a 4.5 second gap, and Jabraka is on 15-lap soft, should I say. So they will start to come to the end of their life. I reckon they will be on the edge of a cliff as Rudy comes through the S section. He's harvesting a little bit of ERS, so, well, he's going to have to, as he's literally got no ERS. He's got about 3%. So it's going to be quite interesting as that battle between 5th, 6th, and 7th of Rudy McChicken or McChicken and Vengeance. Panos will drop also as Jensen gets himself back up to P9 on 15 lap mediums.
A nice little battle in here. Jabraka, in fact, jumping into the pits. So expect him to slap on a nice little fresh set of soft to take him to the end. Just speaking on strategy as well, Line Violent currently finds himself in P12, still running on those hards. 15, losing out a position to Smalley, who's on a fresh set of soft. We've seen him pit shortly ago, getting the undercut on Jabraka for P10. Vengeance, though, very close to the back of Panos for this battle for P6. Of course, Panos getting the advantage of the DRS and double slipstream of the cars in front, and no movement or shakement in that running order. Further back, and one to keep an eye on. I think this could be a thrilling battle in the next few laps. TTG Bet, he is on a fresh set of mediums compared to Jensen. Jensen there, we've seen that red light flash, and he is in fact derating 9% ERS versus 60% of the car behind him. Fresh mediums against old mediums. Expect a move very shortly between these two, and one to keep an eye on. Of course, the championship leader, the race not going exactly his way. 4 wins on the bounce, looking to make 5, and he's going to have a mighty mission if he's going to do so, as we do have 2 of the front runners into the pits now. Jacapoo and Jax making some stops, probably for a set of softs to go to the end, and a few following suit.
Yeah, this is now where the drivers will, as they say, earn their money, as a lot of drivers are now coming for a set of softs. Oh, and it's maybe a commentator's curse. WOR Service picks up his first 3-second time. So Rudy is now your net race leader. The Dutchman could take a race win here in Mexico this evening.
Absolutely. 17 laps on the mediums alongside Surface and Vengeance. Potential to stretch them out to the lead. To the victory, in this race, but also potential. Looking at those cars undercutting you, do you pit now? Do you try and go to the end, or do you just pray your lucky stars for maybe a late safety car? If you're in this situation yourself, Storm, what would you be thinking? Would you be thinking, is it time to pit? Is it time to stretch? Is it time to save? Talk us through, because I'm sure you're a much better driver than I am.
well, we may have to settle that one day. No, I think Rudy, just keep going as he is. He's got a little bit of a gap because he's got Vengeance up there, who is kind of a little bit of a buffer for him. But also, Jensen, get himself back up to P6 as well. We can't count him out. He's still got the pace, and he is... oh, no, I have to say that. As Jensen loses 2 positions, maybe 3 positions in about... Oh, no, he's in the pits. I do apologise. He's going to go for the soft compound tyre. So I just wonder, is Rudy missing out here something? Is he going to try and go for a bold prediction? Well, not a prediction, but a strategy in this situation, as Panos gets another penalty, and that is an incident at the pit lane.
Very interesting one that there for Panos, but like you say, Rudy maybe missing a beat here, not going for the pit stop onto the softs. The gap to Jacapoo, effectively the race leader on the different strat, on the soft strap, as Robin West retires in the pits. That will be the end of his race, finishing P18 with a DNF. A 10-second corner cutting penalty there. I'm not quite sure for who. That was a very strange one indeed. But back to what I was saying, Jacapoo, currently the gap to Rudy around about the 9 to 10 second mark. Now, of course, 10-ish laps to go here, roughly, give or take. 9 seconds. That means Rudy has got to limit the gap to less than a second a lap. Of course, DRS can be a big play in that. Jacapoo, of course, going to get DRS off TTG Bet, and eventually Vengeance. You would like to think he would catch up with them, but he's got the trailing pack behind him. Jacapoo, Jax, Jabraka, Smalley, all of these are going to be fighting for position as we see them go 3 wide here on the run down to turn 1. TTG Bet losing out to Jacapoo on the inside and Jax on the outside. What a wonderful move by those 3 drivers, making it nice and clean, nice and steady into turn 1, the battle for position. And here comes Jabraka around the outside, going down into turn 4, gets the move done mid-apex and settles into front before the next corner. And in fact, here comes Smalley, but we do have another retirement. It is Savetsky in the pits. I did panic there for a second, seeing yellow flags, thinking, could it be a late safety car to turn some twist in this drama? But unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your viewpoint, it is not. Down to 15 runners here tonight in Mexico. 10 laps to go, all to play for those top 3 positions.
Yeah, it is now where it's going to get a little bit spicy here in Mexico. And if you like your spicy food, then you're in the right area of Mexico, as it is going to get a little bit of hot and spicy here as we come through the final 8 to 9 laps. As Jacopo sets the fastest lap of a 15.8, and Rudy is gaining a little bit on WOR surface, and he is also making a gap to Vengeance, who is also on the same tyre wear as him, as it is all still to play for, as maybe have the soft runners kind of not thrown it away, but they could be, as Jax and Jacopo is going to battle for P4, and that could be actually for a podium, because if Jax can close up the gap and get past a Vengeance, he would keep the P3, because it is only a 3-second penalty to him, but Jacopo has 8 seconds on penalties.
These soft runners here really closing up the gap to Rudy. In fact, I think it was last lap, it was about 8 to 9 seconds. It's now 2.1 seconds from Rudy to Vengeance, and then a further 1.4, 1.3 now. Sure to be 1.2 very, very shortly, back from Vengeance to Jax. So, cutting him down by seconds a lap. Could be an interesting battle. Vengeance actually choosing to jump into the pits, maybe seeing the pace of the soft runners behind him, and opting to switch for the softs and just try his luck on that strategy. We'll now see the true gap from Rudy to Jax, 2.7 seconds. Of course, Rudy having the benefit of no penalties, as Jacopo goes for a nice lunge down the inside of Jax into turn 1 with that DRS assist, getting the move done. He will have DRS again on the run down to turn 4. Will Jabraka try and close down the gap? 7/10 the gap at the start of the straight here. He is going to close it all the way down to a little under 6/10. So really closing up on those front 2. Could we see potentially a battle between Surface, Rudy, Jacopo, Jax, Jabraka and Smalley for those 3 podium positions? Surface looking very good at the moment, of course. He's got an 11-second gap to the soft runners. Of course, he does have a 3-second time penalty, but that is neutralised by Jacopo, Jax and Jabraka, and Smalley as well, all having a 3-second as well. So that gap doesn't really matter when we consider the penalties. It is as true as it says. Those front soft runners, though, now on the tail end of Rudy, and Jacopo should now have DRS on the run down to turn 1, setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 1:15.866, improving on his previous best. He is really low on ERS there. You see that battery is gone, but the red light on the back of Rudy's car showing that he is derating and on a loss of energy. Going for the move around the outside, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact, but nothing untoward between the 2 drivers, and Jacopo getting the move done on Rudy. Nice and simple.
Yeah, wow, what a move, as it looks like Jax is also going to get a move. Maybe Rudy's letting them through because he knows they have penalties, but does he know how many they have is the question. He may just be letting them through because he knows that he may get them at the end of the race. And quick mention also to Lion Violet. He is up to P9 on the hard compound tyres. He could potentially take a few positions with the penalties at the end of the race.
Definitely. Himself, MX Chicken and Rudy, as long with Dan, who I believe is still in AI, your only runners without penalties, so watch for them to jump up the grid towards the end of the race. But that, what you're saying about Rudy, that is a very, very insightful statement. Of course, Rudy, maybe knowing he doesn't have the pace on the tyres, trying to hold in, trying to just hang on to the back of these soft runners, get a little bit of a DRS pull, save some ERS and use it as he needs to, although he has dropped out of DRS range to Jax and is now getting swamped by Jabraka, and Smalley now looking to make a move. Jabraka getting the move well before turn 1 and Smalley getting it nicely before the turn end point. So Rudy really dropping down the order He needs to hang into the back of those soft runners, hook in on that DRS train, use as much ERS, or as little ERS I should say, as he can, save as much as he can for when he really needs it. Further up, Jax and Jacopo swapping positions through the second sector. Jax getting the move done on Jacopo down into turn 4, and we'll have the settle back in together through the S section. Plenty to play for here. The gap from P1 to P2 currently stands at 8.4 seconds, but it is dwindling sector by sector, lap by lap, and everything is to play for as it stands.
Yeah, and I think we may have commentator cursed Rudy as he picks up his first 3 seconds, but he could still take a few positions as everybody in front of him has at least 3. Smalley has 6, Jabraka has 6, Jacopo has 8, and obviously then the top 2 have 3 as well. The 2 biggest on penalties is Jake Marsh on 15 seconds and Panos on 15, with Jensen also on 9. So Jensen may not even finish in the points this evening, as I'm on board with one of that is going to be Jabraka. And what a race it's been for the 2 AlphaTauris. They're currently sitting in P3 and P4.
P3 and P4, I mean, you look at the penalties, yes, they are a little bit down, but still a solid running. Of course, a few cars round about them with equal to pretty much similar penalties. Very, very good race from the 2 of them. Let's have a quick look at the positions gains, of course. That might give us a little insight into just how good their race has been. Jabraka up 14, Jax up 13. That went under the radar a little bit for me, I must admit. Up 13 from his starting position, 15th to 2nd at the moment. Jabraka up from 18th to 4th. Jacopo holding that P3, but he's been battling a number of drivers throughout this race. TTG Bay up 10 as well from his starting position. A lot of big gainers and a few big losers. The big one being Bolin, of course. We've seen him engaged in that little desync spin earlier on in the race. So nothing really onto his fault as we round the final corner. Starting lap 33. 4 to go here. We are firmly in a sprint race scenario as Jacopo goes for a move on Jax using that DRS and the little ERS he has available into turn 1. Gets the move done nice and cleanly. Jabraka, though, will be looking at that Williams in front, thinking he's a little bit vulnerable. He won't have DRS in the run to to turn 4. Can I close up the gap here and try and make a move to make it an AlphaTauri double podium? That'll be the aim for those 2. Further back, Jake Marsh and Line Violet having a little bit of a squabble for P11. Line Violet losing out to Panos as well. They'll jump on board and get some airtime to these positions here. I think it was just a double DRS overtake from the sister Alfa Romeo and the Red Bull on the first Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, as looking at the top as well, Jax obviously also picked up another penalty, so that will hurt him at the end of the race. And maybe Smalley can get into this fight. He's just on the back of Jabraka at the moment for P4. So the top 5 are going to have to battle this out as we come on to what will be the final 1.5, maybe 2 laps as they get ready for lap 30. Oh, Jake is out.
It's another incident we've seen earlier on with Dan at the start of the Grand Prix crashing out in Sector 2 at the exit of the S sections. Unfortunate for the Alfa Romeo driver there. In a very strong position, on the cusp of points potentially, depending how the rest of this race went, but it will be a DNF and P15 effectively in the standings for him. Too late in the Grand Prix for a safety car. Berlander can stay comfortable in his pit box as it will be a pure out-and-out pace and tyre wear sprint to the end. Only 1 safety car in this race despite the 6 retirements and the amazing close battling we had. It's been a fairly clean race, I must admit, with a lot of twists, a lot of tails, and quite the story. If you haven't been watching along from the start, it's definitely one worth rewatching. But of course, we're just about to get to the climax.
Yeah, it is now crunch time. It is going to come down to lap 35 and lap 36. WOR surface is 2.2 seconds in front of SXT Jacopo with Shazoo Jax in P3. All the drivers down to P7 has a penalty. I'm just looking at McChicken. He literally could jump a few positions here, as he's on the back of maybe Rudy, as he hasn't got DRS, but he has got a bit of the ERS as well. So the two Mercedes could be looking at some positions come the end of the race in a few short moments.
Absolutely. MX Chicken. If he can close that gap on Rudy and then try and have a big couple of push laps here, you've got 4 cars in the top 5 with between 6 and 9 second penalties. That is a huge turnaround when it comes to the final positions. We're going to need a calculator and about 5 minutes just to work out who's going to finish where on this Grand Prix. Surface, your race leader, by half a tenth, has only got 3 seconds of penalties, but Jacopo on those fresher, softer compound tyres with 8 seconds, he's got the overtake and he's got 1 lap to pull out a 5-second lead on Surface if he's going to beat him. Jax slightly further behind, he has got 6 seconds of penalties. He only needs to pull out a 3-second gap on Surface if he's going to win this race. Jabraka, the worst of the lot when it comes to penalties, he's in 9 seconds, as we see almost a freeway battle for the net win at the moment, or the track win I should say. Jack's getting past both Jacopo and Surface. Surface losing out to the two of them. Now it is really power time. This needs to be a flying, qualifying hot lap for both Jax and Jacopo if they are going to make up and hold as many positions as they can. Smalley and Jabraka will be holding in there, just praying that the penalty situation goes in their way, as we see Rudy and TTG Bet battling out for what is provisional P7 at the moment. Rudy getting ahead of the Mercedes driver. It's not very often this season we're seeing a Red Bull and a Mercedes battling, but one we've seen it many times before. This has been the state a lot of times at Mexico, and again here tonight. But all eyes on the Williams, on the AlphaTauris, and on the Haas at the front.
Yeah, as they come through the final few corners, as Jax is going to take the on-track win here this evening. He gets all the celebrations. He comes through the same section. Shazoo Jack will take the on-track race win as Smalley gets a final 3-second time penalty. And it is going to be, at the moment, Shazoo, I can't get words out. Shazoo Jax is going to take your race win here provisionally with WOR Surface in P2. A dark horse in this race, and what a race for the Haas driver with Jacopo in P3. Jabraka will be in P4. What a race also for the AlphaTauri guys after some mistakes made by the Aston Martin drivers. Then we've got Smalley in P5. McChicken will stay in P6. Rudy in P7. Vengeance P8. TTG Bet in P9. Shazoo Jensen picks up 1 point in the top 10. And that is your classification provisionally for WOR T1 in Mexico.
An interesting start there for you. The first time this season, the second time, I'm missing out Austria, the second time he has finished off the podium. Of course, picking up 5 wins from 8 in previous rounds, a P2 in the initial round, a P3 in Russia, and only picking up, I believe it was a P8 in Austria. So a real down day for your championship leader, but will still hold on to lead at the front. But all eyes on those on the podium. So amazing driving from them. Surface, very unlucky, getting held up with some battles in those last few laps, costing him provisionally with the win on penalties. But it is all eyes on the Australian of Shazoo Jax for Williams, P15 to P1, making the one-stop work alongside Surface and Smalley. Just an amazing Grand Prix altogether, I must say. Jabraka, an amazing drive from him, also P18 to P4. Rounds off just off the podium. That, of course, is Jacopo, Surface and Jax. Further down, Smalley taking P5 ahead of Chicken, Rudy and Vengeance. TTG, Bet and Jensen rounding off your top 10 and your points finishers. Line Violet couldn't make those hard work on the strategy. Can only come home for a P11 ahead of Panos and Bolin. Dan's AI coming home in P14 ahead of Jake Marsh, who was 4 laps down. I believe that might have been an AI also. Savitsky, Robin West, Hyper, Marlon and Dan, your non-finishers here for round 9 of WOR Season 12 here on PlayStation Tier 1. Storm, I've got to admit my voice is on the very edge here. It's
Yeah, I think I can join you, and fantastic, and congratulations on your first race with WOR for PlayStation as well, and hopefully the viewers will be watching this one back with some fantastic views as well later on in the evening or over the weekend. As quite noticeable, also Gibraltar went with about 7 lap of the softs and went from P18 to P4. So that's another good drive for the AlphaTauri. But it's an absolute pleasure to work with such a well-known and fantastic commentator, which is CRL Freefall. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'll be back next week taking you through the action for Tier 2, as I was only covering for Logan this week. He'll be back next week. Enjoy the Australian Grand Prix. If you're in Europe, I do feel a bit sorry for you, as you'll be waking up at 5 and 6 a.m. in the morning. But from myself and Freefall, it's been an absolute pleasure to take you through the action here this evening in round number 9 for Mexico Grand Prix. And it's been an absolute bang of a race.
absolutely couldn't have said it any better myself. Your winners tonight, Williams, at this Mexican Grand Prix. Make sure to check us back next week. Of course, kicking off on Sunday on all platforms throughout the week. You've got your gap week tomorrow, your gap day tomorrow, sorry, but WR will be back on Sunday with the PC tiers kicking it off for a week's worth of racing. And make sure to check back next week, of course, where me and Storm will be on the live comms as hopefully the new norm. It's been an absolute pleasure to commentate with you, mate, on my debut, and it's an absolute amazing race. So I'd like to just thank all the drivers, all the staff at WR for giving me this chance to commentate, and all of you in the chat, because it's you guys tuning in and watching the race and making it that little bit more exciting that make it all worthwhile. I'm going to stop now before I get too emotional, as they might say. But Storm, one last to you. Thank you very much. You've been an honour and a pleasure to commentate beside. And I look forward to hopefully making a little bit of reunion in the future. But that will be us for tonight, folks. Unfortunately, going to cut any interview short because between myself and Storm, I think we have about one voice cord between us. But have a very wonderful Friday night and enjoy your evening. And make sure to tune back later